It's officially official. Okay, can I get this to go the other way? Like, orientation is locked. Rotate device back. So I can't. I have to do it this way. So I'm cursed from yesterday to today to try to get this Valentine stuff done on my laptop, my Chromebook. Yeah, so I'm starting to believe about the Google satellite stuff, stalking people, tracking them. So because I've been talking about crime and Justin Trudeau, so it's like if you talk about crime, we're coming after you. If you talk about specific crime, we're really coming after you. Because it isn't about talking about Tom Welling. So I did like 3 different recordings of the same segment of the Smallville reunion movie. I'm pooped out. Like, it's good work, and now I'm all like drained on everything I gave from those cuts that are now not showing on my computer, so I'm down to my phone. I don't want to go to bed on Valentine's and then wake up with the sun up and do the reading again when the sun is up, because that's not the same. That's tomorrow, that's not today. And I didn't go to this much trouble to do this white rose thing, candles, and to lavender to have it end at 22 minutes with the poem that I last read, to cut out and end the day on that. It's not happening. So I'm going to put the phone here like this. I don't even think I need this to plug in now. I have a smaller Chromebook, but I don't like the camera on that one too much. I like the camera on my Google Pixel phone. And the other one kind of glitchy. It freezes and does other things because it's older than the bigger Chromebook that was given to me from a friend who also believes that it's cursed. Next, people are spying or something. So she gave it to me because she didn't like it either, doing that. I did apply for a Downtown Eastside Small Arts grant. And usually that happens, the answer happens in time that I could have done what I applied for it for, which was by desktop. So I could do this more officially from home, proper lighting, microphone, and all that stuff. That being said, everything I had said that was good in the second part of what you didn't get to watch is no longer going to get said because I'm tired. It's now 10 o'clock at night. So I'm going to pick up from where it left off in video 1 of Let's Talk About Tom Welling, a.k.a. Clark Kent, a.k.a. Kal-El, Superman, from Smallville Reunion Movie, Book 1. I'm going to pick up from the poem, Beautiful Poetry, in my second book, The Day My Goldfish Died, because the reading from the movie script in Chapter 11, Fair Day, is really good leap from this poem into that part of the romantic point of all of this, which is all inspired and based on season 4, episode 3. So without further ado, I'm going to read beautiful poetry from beginning to end without disruption. Again, I want to push you up against the wall and pound my hands against your chest in showing you how much you're missed. As I rush forward for your kiss, so many years of hunger living between lips. To never understand what we both missed, our hearts at an age that were left at a standstill because of the view I wanted you to see when you looked at me. A whole new hope and glory in how to look at life. That moment passed us both by, through an uncharted course that wasn't foreseen. Religion? Paradise and the Bible? What does it mean? The shine in my smile and the twinkle in your eyes. Eternity. To look at each other is a long time. To walk the world over side by side, never growing older. When we're together, age stands still, holding hands. The sweat in your palms for a grip so strong, knowing we can't go wrong. Dancing in the summer heat, in the middle of the day on a busy city street. As we laugh at their smiles before holding each other, our bodies really close, the warmth there oh so very real. I make it a habit to never get that close, for it always ends in abuse, so I never saw use. Maybe that was wrong when it came to you, for you are there for you are all there ever needed to be. So here I now stand marred, knowing there's nothing to compare to the love that lives in you. Now my imagination runs wild and I dare to vision where your hand falls as a small gasp of air takes me there. My head tilts back in the light, falling quiet, mystified by the surprise that your hand knows what to do. Strange to me, as I do the only thing I can do, and that is love myself in you, as I discover a whole new way to feel. My body uncovered, what should have been discovered so many years ago between sheets. Something so strong to hold that it leaves one without breath because it cannot be explained with words. The pain suddenly drives me insane, and I cry within for this which no man has learned to touch, all the confusion that's now suddenly in the way, for the years gone past that speak for themselves as my body swells for your hands to find me and finally get lost in the sin. Where have I been? Too many years suffered at the wrong hands. I quake and I shake and want to cry, for these feelings my body and skin aren't used to. Wonderful sensations, rushing highs. This time for me a surprise, not knowing how to deal with the way you make me feel. Something removed from me for so long. Just imagine what the difference would be today if either one of us had known how to let go and give what we had to each other. As I held on through an unfinished kiss, incredible lover, for the girl who sets your heart on fire. What a way to come to feel without you near me here today. I won't sleep well now, as these words finish being penned, without your pillow talk or nakedness here. All I can do is let it burn as each day passes by, that you live in that part of me. There will never be another you, another friendship like this, one that does do what belongs only to you, no matter the years or distance you choose to leave between us. Only time can deliver through that day when we stand before each other again and our eyes finally meet, and share in the ending of a kiss you started, heaven here on earth. For what in that moment will be conquered as nothing stands in the way of the future and what that means. Closure. So that leads to Smallville's season 4, episode 3, which leads to where I'm picking up from in my story in chapter 11, Fair Day finally arrived. And why I'm doing it all here on Valentine's Day. Now, obviously, I'm not going to read the whole chapter. You have to go and buy yourself a copy of this on my website at futureproductions.online.com, or email me and work something out. But I'm going to read the part that's relevant to romance in receiving, which is the topic for this episode around the Tom Welling episode and the problem with Clark, aka Superman, in general in its history. Superman did all the giving but never received. In real life, men do the romantic things with their girls, for their girls, more often than they turn around and get back. And it's a two-way thing, right? Men have the right to receive gifts, romantic surprises. Why can't you give them a white rose, a box of heart-shaped chocolates, or give them a teddy bear, right? Why can't you send them to the spa for a facial, hands and nails to get done, hair dyed, barber shop, professional shave and trim for the goatee or whatever they do at the barbershop things. So that's missing in Superman's life. In character, there's all this emptiness, void. right? You never see him get any of this stuff romantically, yet he's expected to give his life for the world. And so this is a problem in Tom Welling's life, right? If he's not receiving and he's not asking and saying, I like this, or hinting at what he'd like to get, if he doesn't show any desire or interest that he'd like to be romanticized back in these things, then how can he come together as Clark and give the fans what they want, like seeing him fly in the suit? So I wrote this to make up for the dunk tank episode in season 4, episode 3, where it was the high school thing. Usually you're promoting something. When you're doing a dunk tank, you're promoting like raising money for the high school band to take a trip, the football team to buy new suits, or raising money for the Lung Association or MS or something. And then you come back in the evening at these fair kind of events, and you get a reward like getting to kiss the person you dunked if you won more than one ticket, right? So that's where I sort of went with the story, make it a little more fun, and make a point of what was missing from Clark's life, and hopefully everybody will enjoy that. So here I got to figure out where I am. I'm going to pick up from a part about life on the farm. This is something that's also missing from Smallville and its history, that they failed to approach or write about or share more of, because it's very realistic. Lots of things go on a farm, in farm life. So you're going to have animals, chickens, cows, cats, dogs, whatever. You're going to have stuff happening. And so one of the things that usually happens on farms are pigs. And sometimes people have this thing about growing the largest hog so they can enter into a yearly contest at the fair. I like women who cook and knit, and they like to enter the pie contests and stuff. So that's the basis here. So I'm going to start from here, where Clark says, I'm going to go take a walk around after I get Wilfred in place. I've always wondered where Dad came up with the name for that pig. He would never tell me when I asked. He just laughed and smiled. One day, son, one day, you'll know, just not today. Then he'd laugh to himself and walk away. Anyway, I want to go have a bit of fun before it gets too busy here at our booth and you need me here. Martha says, okay, Clark, you go have a good time. I'm pretty sure I can handle the table while you run off and play. But make sure you come back at the busy hours around 2:30 p.m. or so, okay, so I don't get swamped from all the interest in this completely alone. Clark says, yes, Mother. Now to get this big guy put in place and nicely situated in the shade for the day. I want to see Wilfred live as long as he can. Pigs that are stuck in the sun for events like this don't do as well. Martha says, you are right. Your father has spoiled that pig. Wilfred is accustomed to shade. He's not one to spend days lying around covered in mud, lying in the sun. He's a rather odd pig. He's not like his counterparts. He doesn't care to get all dirty, and he's fussy about what he eats, too. Cost your dad more to feed him than all the other ones he's ever cared for. Guess it was something about the bond between the two of them. They say man's best friend is a dog, but in your father's case, I think it was this darn fella right here, Wilfred. Okay, Wilfred, you go win one for the boss. Maybe this year will be your year to shine, Wilfred. She petted him and waved Clark off. After Clark settled Wilfred into place, he drove the truck to their designated spot in the parking lot and put his fair contestant pass around his neck and started his long trek from the beginning at the gates around the grounds. So then there's a pause because now he's moved on to the next segment. Okay, it wasn't long before he found her, perched perfectly on the swing, with her long bare legs showing the beautiful shade of her porcelain skin and her long flowing hair, just on this side of light golden brown. He hadn't seen her since first aid class. But just as she said, she kept her word and took her place on the swing. She was all in, so to speak, for the duration of the fair. She saw Clark as he was drawing closer, waved and smiled at him. He waved back. Moments later, he found himself in the lineup, and that is where his mother found him shortly thereafter. So, sort of background here, when Clark showed up and just decided he wanted to participate and be a part of this reunion thing and sort of move on from his father passing away, he wanted to volunteer in some part of the town fair. And of course, because he did the dunk tank thing in season 4, episode 3, he thought, oh, I will volunteer to do the dunk tank thing again. But lo and behold, he finds out that dunk tank thing had been taken already. The role had gone to her. So he found that was like interesting. And since he had been curious about her from the point where he discovered her in the story, he thought, I shouldn't miss this. And so then he volunteered to help his mom at the fair so he could get a pass and be able to walk around and go find her. So now we're at a point where his mom is catching him at the dunk tank. So now she's kind of getting the whole picture of why he volunteered to be there. So Martha says, looking at Janet, looking at her son, rolling her eyeballs, says, Clark, do you really think that's fair? I mean, you can't miss, after all. Clark, startled by his mother's appearance, says, oh, hey, Mom, who's watching the table and where are you going? And Martha says, Margaret is here. I forgot some things in the truck, so she said she'd watch the table till I got back. You be sure to go easy on her. You have good taste, son. This one, Janet, is very pretty, and her skin, even I see that hers hasn't been ruined by tanning too much in the sun. I'm glad you finally met her. And Clark says, oh, the first aid teacher you told me about. After I asked you who it was I was smelling? Well, yep, it's official. We've met. She's the one that gave your son his first Red Cross certificate and made him into a bona fide lifesaver, he chuckled. She is indeed a beautiful and extremely unique person, inside and out. I told her I would pitch in to try and help reduce how many of these other guys win the chance to come back here later tonight to kiss her with their winning tickets at the kissing booth. And Martha says, nice save, Clark, but I'm your mother. I know you better than that. She poked him in the ribs. Just don't win too many times and make it too unfair for the others. I'll see you back at our table when you're done. Clark says, yes, Mother. And off she went to the truck with the spare keys she had brought. Remember, he parked the truck, so he had the other set. A minute later, his mother turned around and asked him, by the way, did she tell you her last name? Just thought you might find that a funny and interesting fact about her, too. Clark yelled the answer to his mother. Donahue! Someone in town who saw that I had finally met her told me the greatest daytime talk show host who ever lived. How can I forget the TV show you and Dad drove me nuts over watching when I was growing up? Interesting how these things work out in life at times, you know. He chuckles as he finishes with saying, but I'm definitely okay with it, Mother. So Phil Donahue was the greatest daytime talk show host ever lived, and it was coined that in articles for many years, and I grew up saying that without ever reading that. And then one day I read it and saw people were actually writing it and had coined that. So I'm happy that he's in this, but I'm sad he didn't get to play his part because this movie was finished in 2020 during COVID. And if everybody was honest and telling the truth and talking about me and talking about my work and knowing that they know me and mentioning my name, if people would just sit down and read it in that time, then Phil Donahue could have played his part. We could have actually had the real Phil Donahue play Mac Donahue in this story and find out how he's related to Janet in this story. Okay, so on with the story. Clark had already known to make a mental note of being sure to bring her last name up in a conversation the next time he and her get a chance to have another private chat together, to see what she herself has to say about it, because he was now really dying to know. Clark's mother smiled back at him, that it was good that he knew. Very strong family name and wonderful family background. So if I had to take an educated guess, I'd say you're in pretty good hands, my son. Then she turned away and off she went. Phil Donahue was a really well-known Christian. He was a very advocate, very strong in his beliefs his whole life. Janet could see Clark talking to Mrs. Kent, but he was too far back in the line with all the noise going on to be able to make out what he was saying to her. But she nonetheless tried to get involved and screamed out at hello to Martha Kent, but didn't see Martha look over in her direction, so she was unsure if either one of them heard her. Once at the front of the line, though, she was quick to make small talk with Clark. Janet says, so how is your mother? And what were the two of you talking about over me? My ears were red hot and ringing, so I knew it had to be me you two were talking about just moments ago. Clark broke out laughing. Yep, that's about it. That was my mother, and yes, we were talking about you. He said when he took his first ball, wound his arm around and swung. And while the ball was flying, he finishes his thought, and of course didn't miss. She was asking me if I knew your last name. She wanted to be sure to bring up the best daytime talk show host and his influence on my parents' lives when I was growing up and the connection to my life now that you're in it. She had just enough time to close her pretty, smiling mouth. Into the water she sank when the swing gave way. What a nice way to spend a hot fall day. Getting wet to keep cool, and then getting dry and being kissed. Janet, about a moment later, perched back on her swing. She said in a confused tone, smiling, I thought you said you didn't play baseball. Clark says, I don't. This is just beginner's luck, I guess. But he did play football. Janet says, how many times do you plan to play? There are a lot of other people behind you that would like a turn too, you know? And Clark says, they can wait. I paid $20 worth and I'm going to play for $20 worth. I definitely want to come back this evening and see you when you're all dried off. At that, he went back to concentrating. About 20 minutes of measuring wisely and taking his time throwing his balls, he found he was quite happy to have won a handful of times. Sorry for the pun. I wasn't trying to write that well deliberately, but that's funny. Throwing his balls and he won a happy handful of times. He was hoping rather that he was the one with the most wins, as he promised her to save her from as many of the other guys as he could. Underneath it all, though there was nothing between them personally, at least not yet, there was a part of him that didn't like the idea of her being kissed 24 times by 24 different guys. I wonder why it's okay for a guy to go out on many dates with all these girls and kiss somebody, but as soon as he shows an interest in a girl who's got popularity, why is it different if she gets to go out on many dates or something of this nature? I think that's cute. So it just shows his sincere interest. So his challenge was to kiss them all off. With enough wins, he thought he might just be able to do that. When he was done winning his handful of tickets, he waved his hand with the tickets in the air for her to see. Clark said, as promised, my lady, I shall return tonight to rescue the fair maiden in distress. She splashed some water in his direction with her foot and waved him off. She wasn't in any real distress. She didn't ask him to do this, after all. She was having a great time swimming. Where she's from, she wasn't used to this kind of heat. Yeah, Canadians, we don't know that southern heat. We don't know what it's like down there. Burp. Clark then walked back to his mother's baking and knitting and sunflower table. Evidently, Clark's idea was proving to be a success. People were supporting his mother and purchasing seeds and plants that would grow in the family's farm field. His mother had done the math on how much seed she would need and thought presenting it at the fair this way, thanks to Clark's idea, she might come up with the rest of the overhead she needed to do this. Turns out she was right. Now, there's a section in here that talks about Lex showing up at the town fair, but that's not relevant to the Valentine special, to the white rose dedicated to Clark in the story, and to Tom, who's also probably never had one single white rose given to him. So I'm going to skip over the Lex Luthor part of this chapter. You can go over to futureproductions.online.com. You can also email me at futureproductions.online@gmail.com and ask me for copy of the work. So I'm going to go on to the next part in the evening after all that stuff's done at the table for the day. And it's around 6:30 p.m. at night, and Clark turns to his mother and says, do you think you have a handle on things here? There is something I need to go and do. And he showed his mother his string of kissing booth tickets with a large smile and a glow about him she'd never seen him have before, with a shine in his eyes, like he was looking forward to being a little mischievous. Something told his mother he might just actually like this one. What do you know, she thought to herself. Martha says, go on, Clark, get out of here. I hope she doesn't slap you too hard for trying to kiss a woman 12 times you barely know. You've done a great job helping your mother today, so you are definitely free to go play. Clark kissed his mother on the cheek and said goodbye. Moments later, there he was, standing behind around 6 or 7 guys, all eager and anxious to kiss a pretty lady they want a ticket for the opportunity to get to know, one of the newest strangers in town. There was just something different about this one, from the ordinary same old girls from around here, that all the guys in the lineup clearly agreed on. The others saw Clark's string of tickets and they moaned and groaned with jealousy. One of the guys in the lineup says, "There has always got to be one of those hot shots around. You know, the kind that never misses, and usually that's the guy that also steals the girl with the most tickets. That's not fair for how hard we average guys work to just win one kiss from the nicest first aid instructor we've ever known." Clark, trying to fit in, says, "I've never played baseball on a baseball team in my entire life. I swear. And I've never tried my hand at the kissing booth until today." That says something about Clark. Right? What rock has he been hiding behind that he's never done this little kissing booth thing? So please let me enjoy this moment in my life like the rest of you. All the guys then shut up, realizing like he's missing out on something pretty big, right? As the line moved closer. When Clark was next, Janet pointed behind him. Janet says, "Look, guys are leaving. They can see your string of tickets and have given up waiting for their turn. Your plan, it worked. But I have one question." And Clark says, "And what is that?" And Janet says, "Are you going to kiss me 12 times? Or are you going to take one really big kiss from me?" Clark smiled, gave her all the tickets, moved one step closer so he could reach her face, took his left hand and touched her chin with his index finger and his thumb and softly raised her chin to his face. I can't really do it, but it would be the other way. And leaned forward without a word while smiling and went in for the kill. The longest kiss of his life. One long one, he thought, should do it. The line behind him when he is done should be completely gone, and she should be left standing there breathless, without a word to be said. End scene. So, happy Valentine's Day, Tom, Clark, Kal-El, Superman, Smallville fans. That is the end scene of that segment for today's episode, sharing in this episode of Let's Talk About Tom Welling. I forget my train of thought. I'm just glad I got that out because of all my effort from yesterday to today and all the chopped up videos getting cut up, that it finally got done. It's important that you give yourself the stuff you need instead of waiting forever for others to give it to you, because if you waited for others to do it for you, you could be waiting forever. So get out there and make sure you take care of yourself like I did tonight when I came home. I made myself a beautiful Valentine's Day dinner before making these videos. And by making sure that this rose doesn't go to waste, I'll probably try that whole secret of putting different dye in the water and seeing what kind of colors it turns into, and make another episode down the road about that. This could become like a staple or tradition in Clark's story. But I do look forward to getting this stuff made into animation and hopefully real life, and getting Hollywood actors to come to Canada to work with Future Productions on our side of the border, in order to fix things in our country, make things better, support each other in this industry, create jobs and earn money, and leave Donald Trump sitting in the White House all by himself, twiddling his thumbs, wondering what he did wrong. And, just to sort of help put Tom back together as the Superman we all admired and loved and miss, and would like to see him be back to, instead of ever getting another DUI on a Sunday, because on Sunday you should be at church or at home with your family. And if you're going to have a drink, you have it at home in the evening and not go anywhere because it's Sunday and that's the day of rest. So clearly he's not receiving enough, or he's not doing enough for himself. And so I'm going to do these episodes, and hopefully that'll send some sort of luck and love in his direction to help clear up his head and figure out what he needs to do to redirect and find better paths to the things that he's needing, rather than just leaving it all up there and hoping people surprise him and just figure it out. Because it doesn't work like that in life, right? We have to do things for ourselves. We can't just wait forever. Or sometimes we'll just never get that. So yeah, go write poetry, read poetry, sing songs, play music, be romantic, give love. But also don't forget to ask to receive and just give to yourself as well. Happy Valentine's Day. Enjoy your evening with whoever you spend time with. I got to go find those lost kryptonite rings because the kryptonite rings are the answer to Superman's entire story, past, present, and future. I've never been without them the whole time I've lived here, and I feel kind of lost and I don't know where they are. And I couldn't take pictures of the stuff that I was going to use for the thumbnail and the videos with the rings in it. So it's not right. So I got that to deal with, and I won't sleep properly. I'll like one eye open until I find those glowing green rings. So yeah, keep your eyes open for future episodes of Let's Talk About Tom Welling and the prototypes of the rings and the story behind that as well. So happy Valentine's to everybody, and even you, Tom. Take care of everybody. Take care of yourself. Hope everybody enjoyed their dinner and their roses or flowers or whatever they got. This will bloom for days. I'm very happy with the rose I picked. Bye for now from Now TV Canada here in Vancouver, or Metropolis. From my metropolis to yours. Peace out, everyone. Bye.